Welcome to another deep dive, everyone. Today we're going to be tackling a pretty heavy topic,
Yeah,
but a fascinating one.
definitely.
We're going to be talking about anxiety.
Something we all struggle with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to help us navigate this topic, we have
All excited.
an expert on all things anxiety and really all things
Well, about all things.
philosophy.
Well,
So to guide us through all of this, we're going to be looking at The Concept of Anxiety by Søren Kierkegaard.
of course.
Oh, no.
It's a great book.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a bit dense.
I think when people first encounter Kierkegaard,
Yeah.
they think, oh, this is going to be really tough to get through.
It is a challenging read.
It is.
But hopefully we can unpack
All right.
some of these ideas.
Yeah, make them a little bit more accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so one of the interesting things that Kierkegaard points out is that anxiety is actually a uniquely human experience.
Yeah. That's
Animals experience fear,
sure.
but they don't quite get to the same level of anxiety that we do as humans.
I think that's a really profound insight that he has.
Yeah.
That anxiety is not just fear.
Right.
It's something deeper.
So what is it about us
Yeah.
that causes this anxiety?
Well, for Kierkegaard, he thinks it really comes down to two things that we have that animals don't.
Okay.
And that is freedom
Okay.
and self-awareness.
Interesting.
We are free
Right.
to make choices, and we're aware of ourselves making those choices.
So it's not just about
Yeah,
being afraid of some external threat,
right.
like a predator or something like that.
It's not just about that. It's
Yeah,
about
it's the internal pressure.
this internal awareness
Yeah.
of the fact that we have to make choices
Right.
and that those choices have consequences.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how does that freedom, how does that self-awareness, how does it
Well, he describes it as a kind of busyness of freedom.
dizziness of freedom?
Yeah. You can
This
imagine
is the good one.
standing on a precipice.
Okay.
You can choose to go any direction you want,
Right.
but that can be absolutely terrifying.
Oh, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the more free we are, the
Yeah.
more we realize that things could go wrong.
Exactly.
And that
It's anxiety producing.
that is anxiety producing.
Yeah.
So and he even connects this anxiety to
Right.
the concept of original sin.
Right. He does.
Yeah. Now when he talks about sin, is he talking about like
Yeah. That's a good question because
the religious kind of sin?
I think a lot of people, when they hear Kierkegaard talking about sin,
Yeah.
they're thinking, oh, he's talking about, Adam and Eve disobeying God.
Right.
But he's not really focused on the literal act of sin.
Okay.
He's more interested in
Yeah.
what that act represents.
Okay, so it's more like the psychological and existential reality.
Exactly.
Yep.
The human condition.
All right, so how does he approach this idea then if it's not?
Well, he uses the story of Adam and Eve as a metaphor
Okay.
to understand what it means to become self-aware,
Okay.
to transition from innocence to a state of knowing good and evil.
So it's like that moment when we as humans realize
Yeah,
that we have the capacity to choose wrong.
exactly.
Okay.
And that realization,
Oh.
that awareness of our own potential for wrongdoing,
Yeah.
that's what triggers anxiety.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's the price we pay
Yeah.
for becoming self-conscious beings.
Now, one of the things that I find really interesting about
Yeah.
Kierkegaard is that he doesn't just see this anxiety as a negative thing.
Right?
He actually thinks that it can be a positive force in our lives,
He does.
which is kind of counterintuitive.
It is.
I mean, when we think about anxiety, it's always like,
Right.
oh, this is bad. This is something I want to get rid of.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's something we want to avoid.
So why does he
Yeah.
see it as something positive?
Well, I think he recognizes that anxiety can be a powerful teacher.
Okay.
It can force us to confront our freedom,
Yeah.
our limitations,
Yeah.
and ultimately the possibilities of existence.
So it's like it's shaking us out of our complacency.
Exactly.
And it's forcing us to ask these bigger questions.
Yeah, like, why are we here?
Right.
What is the meaning of life?
And all about.
Yeah, all that stuff that we tend to avoid.
Yeah.
Anxiety kind of forces us to confront those questions.
And I remember there's one story that Kierkegaard uses that I thought was really interesting.
Oh yeah, he's got lots of great stories.
He does.
Yeah.
It's a story of a man who lived as a hermit for years, drinking nothing but dew.
Oh wow.
And then he goes into the city.
Yeah.
He tastes wine for the first time.
Oh.
And then he becomes an alcoholic.
Right. That's a classic Kierkegaard story.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, but it's
Yeah.
also very profound. It is
not
what he's getting at there, I
Yeah.
think, is that we can never fully escape
Yeah.
the possibility of falling.
Right.
We might be doing great.
Yeah.
We might be living this pure life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's always the potential
Always the potential for that.
for making the wrong choice.
To slip up.
Yeah, to fall from grace, so to speak.
It's a pretty sobering thought.
It is.
And he also...
It also connects anxiety to
Yeah.
this idea of sin as selfishness.
Right.
How does that fit in?
Well, he defines sin as the preference of the individual over the universal.
Okay, so when we're putting our own needs
Yeah, when we're prioritizing our
Yeah.
own limited interests
above everyone else.
above what's good for everyone else.
Oh, wow.
That's when anxiety sets in.
Oh, wow.
It's a sign that we're out of alignment with
Well,
something bigger than ourselves.
that really resonates with me. I mean, how many times
Yeah.
have we all felt that where we're like,
Yeah.
I know I should be helping this person,
Right.
but I'd rather just stay home and watch Netflix.
Yeah. Or I know I should be
Mm.
doing this thing that's, for the greater good,
Right.
but it's not as comfortable.
And that creates anxiety.
It does.
Yeah,
That's really interesting.
it is. And it's something that Kierkegaard was very attuned to,
Yeah.
this inner conflict
Yeah.
between what we know we should do
Yeah.
and what we actually choose to do.
And how that causes anxiety.
Yeah, and how that creates this dissonance within us.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So, we've been talking about sin, and it's easy to kind of think about it in these like black and white terms.
Yeah.
Like you either sin or you don't sin.
Right.
But Kierkegaard had this idea of
Right.
hereditary sin.
Yeah.
Now, when he's talking about that, is he just saying that like
Oh,
we inherit Adam's sin?
It's a little more nuanced than that.
Okay.
It's not just about inheriting the guilt of Adam's sin.
Okay.
It's about inheriting the capacity
Okay.
for sin. Ooh. So think about how we learn about right and wrong.
Yeah.
We learn it from our parents,
Yeah.
from our culture.
Right. From society.
Yeah, from the stories we're told.
Right.
And those lessons shape our understanding of what sin is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's like we're born with this,
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it, a sin-o-meter.
Okay. Yeah.
And it starts off clean.
Right.
But then as we grow up,
Yeah.
we start to learn the rules.
Right.
And the consequences of breaking those rules.
And that's when the anxiety sets in.
Exactly. And that awareness, that knowledge of our potential for sin,
Right.
that's what triggers anxiety.
Even if we haven't done anything wrong.
Even if you're trying to be good,
Wow.
we're still aware
Yeah.
of the possibility
Of messing up.
of straying from the path.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is. And that's why Kierkegaard argued that this
Yeah.
awareness of sin combined with our inherent freedom
Okay.
to choose
Yeah.
creates this constant state of anxiety.
It's like we're set up for failure.
In a way, yeah. I mean, it's not that we're doomed to fail,
Right.
but it's that we're constantly aware
Yeah.
of the possibility of failing.
It's a bit disheartening.
It can be, but Kierkegaard didn't see it as a reason to despair.
Okay.
He actually believed that anxiety, while difficult,
Yeah.
can be a powerful catalyst for growth.
So instead of looking at anxiety as this like purely negative thing,
Yeah.
we can kind of reframe it
Free frame.
as a signpost pointing to something.
As a wake-up call.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
it's like anxiety saying, hey,
Yeah.
pay attention.
Okay.
There's something here you need to look at.
What's interesting to me is that he also says that anxiety can push us toward faith.
Yeah, he does.
So how does that fit in?
Well, for Kierkegaard, faith is a way of
Sure.
transcending our limitations.
Okay.
It's about trusting in something larger than ourselves,
Right.
something that can provide meaning and purpose.
So it's not about like blindly following dogma or anything.
No, it's not about blind faith.
Oh.
It's about finding something to ground us,
Yeah.
to anchor us in the midst of uncertainty.
So it's acknowledging that we don't have all the answers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And being okay with that.
And somehow that can actually be liberating.
It can free us from the tyranny of our own ego.
Right.
This need to control everything, to
Yeah.
have all the answers.
To be perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, we started off talking about how anxiety is this uniquely human burden.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of sounding like
It's a double-edged sword.
it could be a key
Yeah.
to unlocking something really profound about ourselves.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it.
So Kierkegaard, he was really good at using
He was.
vivid examples to kind of illustrate these points.
He's a master storyteller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the stories that he uses to...
Well, one that comes to mind
Yeah.
is the story of the man standing on the edge of a cliff.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah. Haven't we all?
That feeling of like,
Yeah, that existential dread.
yeah, and you're like,
You look over the edge.
you get that weird feeling like I could just jump.
Yeah, it's like your brain is playing a trick on you.
Yeah, it's scary.
But that's what Kierkegaard was trying to capture.
Yeah.
That feeling of being overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the possibilities,
Yeah.
both good and bad.
And he's saying that by actually confronting that.
Yeah, by facing the abyss,
Okay.
we can actually develop a stronger sense of self.
So it's like this test almost.
Yeah, it's like anxiety is a test
Okay.
that pushes us to our limits.
And by pushing us to our limits,
Yeah.
we discover our true strength.
Exactly.
He also talked about the demonic.
Right, the demonic.
Now, is he talking about like...
Now, when he talks about the demonic,
Yeah.
he's not talking about literal demons.
Okay, good.
With horns and pitchforks.
Right, right.
It's a metaphor.
Okay.
And for Kierkegaard, the demonic represents
Yeah.
a particular kind of anxiety.
Okay.
The anxiety about the good.
The anxiety about the good.
Yeah, it's the fear of embracing our full potential.
So instead of being tempted to do bad things, it's
Yeah.
like we're tempted to resist the good.
Exactly. It's the fear of surrendering
Wow.
to something greater than ourselves.
That seems kind of counterintuitive.
It does, but think about it.
Yeah.
Choosing the good often requires sacrifice,
Okay.
change,
Right.
a willingness to step outside our comfort zone.
That is anxiety producing.
And that's anxiety producing.
Yeah.
So it's like that voice in your head
Yeah.
that says, don't try anything new.
Right, yeah.
You'll just mess it up.
Yeah, don't put yourself out there, you'll get hurt.
Exactly. It's the fear that holds us back
Right.
from taking risks and pursuing our dreams.
So the demonic is basically that force.
It's the resistance to growth and transformation.
Okay, so how do we combat this demonic force?
Well, Kierkegaard believed...
Do we need like a philosophical exorcism?
He believed that the only way to overcome the demonic is through faith.
Okay.
And by faith, he meant the willingness to trust in something beyond ourselves.
Yeah.
Something that can provide meaning and purpose,
Even when it's scary.
even when it's uncertain.
Okay, so it's about having that courage.
Yeah, the courage to step into the unknown,
Yeah.
to face our fears head on.
To embrace the possibility of transformation.
Exactly, even if it means letting go
Wow.
of what's comfortable and familiar.
It's interesting how all these ideas kind of
They're all connected.
connect. Yeah.
Yeah, anxiety, sin freedom,
Mm.
the demonic.
It's all part of this, like,
It's all part of the human condition.
yeah, the human condition.
Yeah, and that's what makes Kierkegaard so relevant,
Yeah.
even today.
Yeah, he's talking about stuff that...
He's speaking to those deep-seated anxieties
Right.
that we all experience.
You know, it's funny because, like you were saying earlier, Kierkegaard is still so relevant today.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we live in this world
Yeah,
that's, like, obsessed with happiness,
right.
success,
Having it all figured out.
having it all figured out.
Yeah.
But underneath all of that,
Yeah.
there's still this, like,
I
anxiety.
think there's more anxiety than ever.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is that we're all, like,
Yeah.
on this treadmill.
The hedonic treadmill.
Yeah, and we're just, like, constantly striving for the next thing.
Yeah, we're always chasing after something,
Yeah.
but we're never quite sure what it is.
Right.
Or if we'll ever get there.
Yeah.
And that uncertainty,
That's anxiety producing.
it's incredibly anxiety producing.
Like, the more we achieve,
Yeah.
the more anxious we become.
It's a strange paradox.
Yeah.
But Kierkegaard recognized that paradox.
Yeah.
He saw that our constant striving
Yeah.
for happiness often leads to more anxiety, not less.
So what's the answer?
Well, he believed that true happiness isn't something we can
Mhm.
achieve through external means.
So it's not about the next achievement.
It's not about the next car or the next house.
Yeah.
It's about something deeper.
So we have to look inward.
Yeah, we have to understand ourselves,
Okay.
our place in the world.
But that's a lot harder.
It is. It's much harder than buying a new car.
It is. And it's uncomfortable
Yeah.
to face those big questions.
To confront those existential anxieties.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But Kierkegaard would probably say,
He would say that it's in those moments of discomfort,
okay.
in those spaces of uncertainty,
Yeah.
that we have the most potential for growth.
So instead of running from anxiety,
Yeah.
we should run towards it.
Embrace it.
Lean into it.
Try to understand it.
See what it's trying to tell us.
Yeah, what is this anxiety trying to teach me?
It's like it's a messenger
It is a messenger.
trying to guide us to something.
Yeah, it's something important.
So for our listeners out there,
Yeah,
what are some things that we can do?
some practical takeaways.
Yeah, some practical takeaways.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to remember
yeah.
that anxiety is a normal part of the human experience.
So we shouldn't beat ourselves up
Don't beat yourself up.
for feeling anxious.
It's okay to feel these things.
And maybe instead of like
Yeah?
trying to avoid it.
Don't try to suppress it.
We try to learn from it.
Lean into it. Ask yourself,
Yeah.
what is this anxiety trying to tell me?
And we don't have to do it alone.
You don't have to do it alone.
Talk to a therapist.
Talk to a therapist, a counselor, a friend.
Surround yourself with people who get it.
Yeah. Community is so important.
Yeah.
Having people who understand and support you.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I learned a lot.
I always learn something new when I talk about Kierkegaard.
So for all of you listening out there,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us on this
Yeah.
philosophical journey
We hope you've gained some insights.
into the nature of anxiety.
Yeah. And the human condition.
Keep diving deep,
Keep questioning.
and we'll see you next time.
Take care.